Forward to the cloud. Thank you.
Yeah, we got it. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll share you pictures of this dock, but then thinking about it a little further, you know, this dock it's a permanent dock, right? It's inside the breakwater at the marina. So it's not exactly what we're looking for, but there's some key features about it and we've discussed some of these. So let me share the screen and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me know when you, I have to say share. Here we go. Yeah, so you can see this now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is, you know, a Mantle Industries gangway like Chris has been talking about. He's talked to them and you see these everywhere. And you can see that this is kind of a little bit of an L shape. And let me go to the next one.
Hang on. Just say, when you say L, how do you sing an L shape?
Well, they've got, in this case, they've got little, oh, sorry, maybe I can get you a better view of that.
Oh, okay, that's great.
They've got, you know, little slips here. Well, not really slips, but they have a little L here where they put this float.
I see.
Straight.
Okay, I get it. So the gangway is gangplank. Is that what we'd call it? Is gangway? Is there the right word to use?
It's called a gangway.
Way.
It's a
Gangplank, I guess, is walking the gangplank, which pirates do.
Right. Yeah, so this goes from the shore down to the float, right?
Short
And,
float,
and then these are permanent pilings. What I found interesting though is we've talked about, you know, access for kayakers, canoers, what have you. And so I thought this was interesting. They had some of those floating segments like we've talked about.
Interesting.
And they're tied off like a boat, right? And I guess they did that to put the storage shed on there. I'm not sure if this is necessary because it's still about the same height from the water as the dock is. But it occurred to me that maybe this is an option we consider for, you know, non-powered boats, small like kayakers or something if need be. And you could extend these, right? So you could have a little bit of an extra platform. But another thing I really liked about this, you can see that this is the sort of a metal grating like that comes with the gangway. But then it's a concrete float. Let me see if I get the right picture. Yeah, I didn't get a good close-up, but this is a concrete float, but it's lined with wood. So it's a little gentler on the boat. And the other thing about this dock is on the wood portion where you tie off, there are literally cleats, right? Which are great because Mary, I'm sure you've pulled up to some of these docks that just have like a 4x4 on wood blocks. And I don't know about
the bull rail. Yeah.
I've reached out to tie off to those things and I've been nailed with huge slivers, you know?
Wait, so this is so I'm used to, so that is a metal cleat on that line's tied to.
Yeah, I wish I had a better picture, but you
Right there. You can probably enlarge it, Dave. Just zoom in.
So
there you go.
Yeah, so a bullhorn style. Okay, versus what would be, I guess I haven't, all the boating I've done has been something like that. What other one are you talking about?
Let's see. I specifically remember the one at Mesha.
Yeah, the state park docks all have what the state park docks have is they are a wooden dock with wooden planks on them. And then they have like, imagine about a 4x4 or a 6x6 piece of wood that is offset, that stands up above the dock, that's drilled in, and then there's this long railing. And so you go, when you pull into the dock, you put your dock line underneath the railing, come around and do either a clove hitch or a bowline or something. You tie a knot onto the railing. It's the state park docks do that because they are accommodating boats of various lengths. And
oh, I see. So once you have the cleat in place, you have to be close enough to you know.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. And so some boats, you know, if the cleats aren't placed right, it doesn't work real well.
Yeah. I see the advantage of that, Mary, but if we were to do it, I would suggest, you know, we do something like a metal rail or something, because those wooden planks get pretty
Yeah.
narrow.
Yeah, no, I've seen them. I've seen the aluminum rail, and that's a nice way of doing it.
Oh, you have seen that?
I have up in Canada.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, up in northern Canada, some of the marinas have that.
Okay, yeah. Well, I just thought I'd share these because, because I was taking a closer look at the docks and I found some of these features pretty interesting.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about the triangle, that grid that looks permanent to me.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why that's
Or
there.
does it? Okay.
What it does, it when you have like a corner like that, it reinforces the L shape at the corner.
Oh, it's like a buttress then, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a buttress, so it just will help in those corner situations
Okay.
where you know, it's just like kind of a reinforcer.
Oh, okay. And it also drained, so it doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
it was drained. Okay.
Also help people falling in this gap here, I suppose.
Right.
Well, I wondered if part of it was a visual
Yeah,
connector to say, don't turn and walk directly into that blue shed.
right. So anyhow, I could send these to Alan if they're useful. It's not really on exact topic of our, you know, trying to what we want to build, but it has certain features that I think we'd like to incorporate.
Yeah, and tell me again, where is this?
So it's at if you go to the Marine Park, Zwanich Park.
Yeah, okay.
You go right to the end across from the Bellwether.
Yes, yeah,
It's right at the entrance. In fact, this is the entrance to the harbor right here.
got it. I've probably walked,
Yeah.
we walked there not too long ago. We went to the festival and kind of walked
Yeah,
around
there
the
you go.
area.
And you
Okay.
probably didn't even notice the dock because
Now I'll have to turn on, get my little spidey senses more aware when it talks.
exactly right.
So, and the concrete, so I can see a piling, but does this float or is this permanent?
Yeah,
It floats.
It does
There's
float.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's foam underneath it that floats, and
I got it. Okay.
the concrete itself is it's the cover, and I think there's like if you look at I have a picture of our docks when the ones when they put in the float things. It's almost just a second, let me go.
I don't have a good view, but let me see if I can pan this thing. Whoops, I don't want to rotate it. No, I don't want to save changes. Sorry.
Escape. I mean, seriously. Oh, there we go. Okay.
It's hard to see, Lane, but next to this piling is another section of grading.
Oh, I see it.
Now, these must be separated pieces, right? And then they kind of link them together. I'm not suggesting we do something like this.
No, I'm just interested. Yeah, I don't think that concrete would have necessarily occurred to me. Again, maybe I've been on a million of them and just never. We did our boating on the East Coast, like Annapolis, in that area, and so I have to admit my experience was nothing like the tidal changes we get here. We were at the bay, blah blah blah. So for me, it's just helpful to imagine I'm like a sort of normal non-boating almost non-boating person in the sense that I won't have considered any of these things probably, or a few of them.
When we're done with this project, you'll be ready for a new boat, right?
No, no. My attitude, my friend, is join this committee so you meet people who have boats.
Yeah, good.
So that's my scheme, my friends. Deep dark scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've got creds with me and probably Dave too.
Absolutely. Hey, this got me thinking, and I'll just throw this out there for your contemplation. But right, so this dock to me is really beautiful, right? But it's intended to be a permanent installation, which we likely do not want, you know, in the winter months, unless we go whole hog and try and get a breakwater put in.
Wow.
And I'm not suggesting we
seems-
do, but
That will not happen.
well, but see,
Probably in our lifetimes.
here was my thought process though. If we ask for more and we get cut back, then we get the dock that we want, maybe. Anyhow, that was just a side thought. But let me unshare for a sec so we can talk. That kind of got me to a couple of observations from your link that you sent, Mary.
Uh-huh.
So many of these sort of guest docks, county docks. Well, let me just read you some things I wrote down because it's on topic of what we've been discussing in the past meetings, right? So I think the intent of this dock is to be, for us, short-term moorage, right?
Yes.
Typically what I saw on that link that you sent, Mary, was usually it's like 2 hours max, which would give people enough time to, the nice thing about the site we're talking about is it's walkable to the restrooms at the ferry dock. You could go over to the beach store and have lunch, and 2 hours is enough time for that. You go to the store, you go to the farmer's market, what have you. I think the dock needs to have a marked pickup and drop off zone. And I believe
Yes.
that's Scenic Estates too, right? And then dinghy moorage, right? So you can anchor out, or, and this got me to another thought, Mary, and maybe it's too much of a reach, but I don't think so, because we talked about this based on the Aston design, where they intend to put in some state park mooring buoys off the beach.
Uh-huh.
I think it would be a great idea if we included in this request that we have a couple of mooring balls out there, so that, you know, if it's good conditions, people want to spend the night, then they can take their dinghy, right? Because we don't want to have boats moored overnight on the dock, right? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, Olga does, they allow like 3 days, right? But that's, I think that's more than we want. So that was one thought there, and I kind of wanted to get you guys' idea on that, if you think that's worth including in the proposal. And again, it gets back to, I guess, well, it's the benefit overall of the recreational park, not just the dock, but it's, you know, anyhow, that was a couple of thoughts based on reviewing that document. And then one more thing that I read, and I've been there, I know you've been there, Mary, is at Orcas Landing, which is a high traffic zone. You get ferries going through. It's a linear dock, but you can moor on the inside, you know, between the dock and shore, which gives you protection against wave action and wakes. And I think that our proposal should have an L-shaped dock so that we have that option. So there'd be a long pier and then a turn where at least 1 or 2 boats might be able to take the inside. Now, well, obviously we got to discuss that with whoever does the engineering for this, but if we have room for it, I would strongly favor that.
Yeah. One thing that I thought about is that we haven't really thought about or talked about is that there is pretty much constant ferry wake that's going to be hitting that dock area.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, you know, because even though, you know, that's where the dock comes, you know, the ferry comes in there. And so you're going to be having a kind of a strange angle for a wake coming in there on a regular basis.
Yeah. So let's say if it works out in the layout plan, if this L could turn to the north, then, you know, as you approach that, you're getting protected from that wave action.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, just a few thoughts on that. Thinking about, I guess I was thinking about when we go on our photo shoot mission,
Mm-hmm.
what do we want to look for? All right. And so,
Yeah.
so I think I'm I'm not really certain of any, well, I don't know, I guess, I don't know where the L-shaped docks are, if there are any out there, there probably are.
Well, yeah, there's Stewart Island. The dock comes off of there. And it's, well, no, it's mostly, that one's mostly parallel to shore.
Yeah, the big ramp in Reed Harbor, you
The
mean?
big ramp at Reed Harbor goes straight down, but it's pretty much parallel to shore.
Yeah.
Thinking about that. But, you know, and then other ones, so it's kind of an L because the pier comes out and then the dock is at an L to the ramp,
Yeah, right, right.
or a T. It's more of an L.
That might be an option too, Mary. If it's kind of at an angle, then it, you know, angle to the ferry lane, that
Mhm.
provides a similar kind of protection. Boats could go on the shore side of that, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can, that way you can go on either side. But that's just, yeah. And then some of the other ones, they're just straight linear. They just go, the pier goes down, then there goes the ramp, and then the dock goes out from there.
Yeah, that seems to be more typical.
And yeah, the advantage for that is it gets you to deeper water with a shorter pier.
Right. However, I was thinking about that, right? Because I know that we've got a long stretch of shallow water there. But that
Mhm.
gives you your dinghy mooring zone, right? Maybe kayaks, what have you. Um, I don't know what the length is per se. And you know, the length required to get out to deep water, depending where the ramp
Mhm.
comes in. So, but those are all interesting considerations.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard if your dock sits on land part of the time at low tide. So
Yeah,
that gets to be hard on the dock itself because you're going to have flexing and extra stresses on the float part of it.
yeah, a good point. Yeah,
So I think that's why a lot of docks will just have the pier go out straight, and then, you
yeah,
know, once you're in deep enough water for the dock to remain afloat at all tides,
yeah,
then you can pop it, you know, then you can pop, you know, pop your float out that way.
yeah. Good point. Maybe to bridge that gap from shore to the dock, we could consider those little floating plastic platforms that can be, you know, tied off or something for kayaks or dinghies or what have you. I don't know. We don't need to define it here, but these are interesting
Yeah.
considerations. Right?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, I suppose, that we look at any others that have used connectors that way to over. Because this is good because, you know, we talked about for the presentation for the public to discuss pros and cons to
Yeah, yeah,
T's, and I had no idea what the comparisons are, what helps you decide which shape. I guess I thought it was mostly about how battered is it and which one withstands being battered better.
yeah. Oh, so getting to that question, Lane, and this was another interesting point I read on that link, Mary, about the Olga dock. That was described as a 4 to 6 foot or 4 to 6 boat float. And I've been there.
Yes.
I've spent nights there. It's a great spot. But they also said that it was built and is maintained by the local community, which I found very interesting. And because we've talked about how are we going to maintain this thing. And so I don't know if you know this, but I assume that state parks removes the floats in the winter. I don't know if they have the barge that they do this with, where they store them. Who does that? And can we presume that Whatcom County Parks will do this? Or will it make a stronger case for us? Because the part of the Get Her Done plan, I think, was how are we going to maintain this thing? And so if we require a design that has a removable float, and I think we do, what does that look like? And who is going to remove it and store it? And this is something maybe we need to discuss with Chris, because if if he or a team can move the floats and store them at the marina, site, then that takes a lot of the burden off of county parks. And I just don't know what the answer to those questions are, but I think they need to be discussed and figured out. And maybe we can do some ask around about, maintenance at the county parks now. How is that managed? Do they contract it out? Do they, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking a little bit about dock surfaces and survivability and stuff like that. And one thing I started thinking about, I know that in Prince Rupert, up in Canada, there's a dock there. It's run by the Prince Rupert Rowing and Boat Club, and they have slips in it, but and there's like a floating log breakwater that kind of they've just chained some logs together
One of those
and anchored the logs, but and that breaks up a little bit of it, but it's really rolly because when you get a weight going in there, it gets rolling. But their docks are made out of the same materials as that grating that you saw.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like square grating.
Yeah.
And what that allows is for not as much when it gets rough and rolly and like a big weight comes in, because it's right across from the fuel dock. And you get these commercial fishing boats that are coming in that are just they're cowboys. They come in really fast and hot and just and throw up these big old wakes coming into the dock. And you're sitting there in your sailboat going, but anyway, I noticed that I was thinking about that construction though, and that would be one, fairly lightweight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And two, could possibly hold up better if you have like waves breaking over it, as long as the outside structure is big enough and strong enough. Because I was also like watching the docks over at Gooseberry, and while waiting for the ferry, you just sit and you watch that one dock that's the float that's attached to the fuel dock. And that's what our dock is going to need. Our float is going to need to be able to survive, is that same kind of ruggedness. And I think if you had a construction of a dock that had an open surface like that, it might make it lighter weight and also more survivable.
Right. It's going to reduce the loading on the decking. Right.
Yeah.
I've watched that Gooseberry, and I actually talked to the guy because I don't know if you noticed last fall, it was gone. It broke, it busted up. Yeah. They replaced it, but it'll happen again eventually. Right. So, but I think they leave they leave those in year round, right?
Yes, they do.
They take a lot of abuse, but I think I was thinking the same thing, Mary, because to me, that's going to be, I don't know the design of these things, how you design, like they probably pull them out with a barge, but we don't have that luxury if we were to, maintain this thing. So maybe it can be such that it can be hauled by, a boat taken over to the ramp and pulled out. I don't know. That's what we need to.
I'm gonna I'll share a picture of the trailers for the county docks. Have you guys seen those when they go in?
That would be
so
good.
Let me just I'm gonna dig up on my Google Photos here real quick. Whoops.
Oh, and speaking of photos, guys, one of the things I thought might be good on our photo mission is
Mhm.
if we take, I seem to remember seeing these things. Usually there's a sign posted at the top of the ramp for these docks about, the rules, 2 hours max, that kind of thing.
Yes.
I think a photo of 1 or 2 of those would be a great example, in our PowerPoint presentation to the.
Okay.
uh, I think that's all I had noted from my reading on the.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna share some photos here. You can see, and it'll give you an idea of the construction on those docks, Lane, just a second.
Yeah.
I need to restore down. Okay. Okay, get back to my Zoom page. Okay, going this. Back to full screen. Share my screen. Okay, so
Oh, boy, yeah, this is good.
Oh, wow. I see.
these are the docks these are the dry dock docks. So you can see the structure. Let me get it so it's not the movie. Let me go back. I can enlarge. There you go.
Oh, that's better. The resolution came up. Yeah.
Yeah, the resolution came up. So that's how they're transported. They have a metal frame.
Yeah.
Can you see that? So it's a metal frame, and then they've got the rub rails on the side, the wood. Then they have the wood planking, wood decking over the top.
That's great.
But you can see, and then this area under here is all the flotation.
Yeah.
And that will come up actually inside this collar,
Right.
if you look. So does that kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Mary. How how do they get these in the water? Do you have pictures of that?
I have pictures of that too. Let me go back. What they did, they bring a crane down on the back of a truck. Whoops, okay. Here's the crane here. So this is the county's crane.
Okay. Yeah.
The resolution will pop up here in a second. It's just kind of slow, but it's a crane that's mounted on the back of the truck. They go down to the end of the pier, and then
Looks like they drop them in the water and then tow them in
yeah.
place. Is that right?
So here's the truck, the crane. They, just kind of they back the truck down with the stuff. The crane is coming this way. They rig up 4 points, and then they just swing it over the side
Right.
and drop it in the water.
And then they just tow it over with that little skiff?
Yep.
Sweet. Okay.
So they go to the 4 cleats in the corner. The cleats are strong enough that they can handle the weight of that section.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah.
So that's how they accomplish that.
Got it.
Yeah, so what do they do on the island side, Mary? They don't tow them across, do they?
Yes, they did.
Oh, they do. Okay, so
That's what they did. They launched them over here because they had to get from the island over to here.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, from the mainland over. So they have two trucks. Each truck was carrying a stack of 3 docks on their trailer.
Okay. Yeah.
And so they had 3 sections that went out from the end of the ramp. And this time they just lowered the dock ramp right onto the top of the float.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's how they got I wondered that too. So it was really interesting, and it's a small boat.
Very smart.
Very small.
Well, whoops. Oh, let's see. No. How do I make this go away?
I just leave it. Yeah, I think it's just leave it at that.
Yeah, preference save.
Yeah.
Okay, so this here is the workboat here. It's, just a little snub-nosed skiff.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm. So,
Yeah. I mean, once that thing's floating, it's easy to tow
Yeah.
around.
yep, so they just have that, and it's just a little snub-nosed skiff, and they just push it across. And then this other boat in that other picture, this was Serena and Dave's boat that were transporting people.
Oh, right.
And their boat is about the same size and configuration as my boat, except I think it's a fiberglass boat.
Okay.
But so let's see. Anyway, I think that shows it pretty well.
Yeah, that's great. So if you look at the design of those floats, right? Getting back to the discussion of the grading as a deck.
Uh-huh.
So we need some sort of floats under there, right? To support.
Yes.
But in this case, are you guys familiar with Chris's giant forklift? He's got this sort of industrial forklift that can actually extend lengthwise. And so it would seem to me that if we had like a grading design with floats that leave a gap between the deck and the float somehow, so he'd get the tines of those forks in there. Conceivably, we could tow these sections around on a nice day, of course, over to the launch ramp, and he could pluck those out of there and stack them up. I mean, it's simple. Now, I'm throwing Chris out there casually. I'm not saying that he's the only guy, but he knows about all that equipment. I don't know. I mean, obviously, we bring this to the larger meeting discussion tomorrow, maybe, but I think those are interesting thoughts. And maybe we don't have to deal with it, because if this project goes forward, the county will deal with it anyway. But
yeah, and maybe they could work something out with Public Works to use their crane.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Just interesting thoughts on the whole design of this thing. I like the fact that you've actually seen these things in person, Mary, including that aluminum rail tie-off, because that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I'm going to look. Chris sent out an email when he sent out the there's another really informative website. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look up this email on Chris's thing, so we can go ahead and keep talking. I'm just trying. I might get a little quiet. It was the place that had the dock for sale. the
Oh, the
ramp for sale.
Mantle Industries.
Yeah, but it's not Mantle Industries. It's the one that sells the used docks. They're down in Portland. Let's see.
I went to the site, come to think of it, but
Yeah, I'm gonna show you that site because I think that's and I wanna get this one on our list. I'm trying to look. It was an email that Chris sent out to us about Mantle Industries.
yeah, and I think I actually put it into the meeting notes because it was about how much the ramp cost.
Yes.
By one.
And if you go to that website, that's what I'm looking for.
Mhm. Seven, I think.
Not easy to find, is it?
Yeah. Hey, Ellen, I'm in the meeting right now. I can't talk. Okay, bye.
Response letter. See, here's used. I have it. Northwest Marine Supply Company.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna go to their email, Northwest Marine Supply.
W Marine Supply all run together. Or I can put it in the chat.
Okay, I'm just gonna go to their website here, just a second.
That's in the chat is the one that we went to for the used one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is it. Okay. Because they also sell docks.
All used stuff, Mary? Or?
No, they also actually build docks too.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
So I'm going to share screen again.
Yeah.
Got to get back to my full view. Sorry, I'm clunky at this, but okay, share screen. Okay. Okay, so they have under products,
Oh, they're so slotted panels.
Oh, okay.
I think these are the slotted panels I was talking about. Yeah, I think these are those types of slotted panel things. That's not a very clear picture.
Mhm. So those are fixed in place. We need slotted panel floats. Do they do anything like that?
Well, you could probably,
Sure, they could build them, but there's some
yeah,
floats.
you could see, here's the air tanks for underneath them. Here's aluminum decking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the stuff.
So here's a floating dock that's. See, this is kind of a floating dock here that's got the aluminum decking. This is this kind of the grid stuff that I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be fine.
And I think that could make it lighter and
Hey, Mary,
easier to survive. But
down again, look at what the description says.
oh,
Uh,
well, this is yeah, protect your boat lift in rough water conditions.
oh, it's talking about the fender, but I was,
Mhm.
yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Right, okay. You know, just off the cuff, those seem like those component prices weren't that outrageous. I mean, obviously,
No, but like, yeah, 4-foot sections, but yeah, and I was looking at, they actually have docks, and here's aluminum bull rail.
oh,
See?
right, okay, yeah.
And that's kind of what that's what bull rails are, Lane.
Oh, got it.
And so they have like a stand up, and then they just have the rail along like that. So
All we gotta do is buy all these parts and get the committee together to assemble it, right?
yeah. Well, and they have a whole bunch of, let's see, docks and frames.
Hmm.
And see, they have steel framed for galvanized docks. They have an aluminum frame. They have wood frames. They pre-sell the kits.
Right,
They have wood dock kits. So anyway, it was pretty interesting. And this here, I think, is real similar to what this is kind of what they've got for the county's dock, those county sections.
okay, yeah,
And see, and they show here the two different types of grading. You could get like this type of grading right here
yep,
on top of it, or you can cover it with wood like this. This is going to be more expensive for the materials, but I think you'd have longer longevity.
right.
You
yeah.
know, the bad thing about this is when you crawl out of a boat or a dinghy, it's like, a meat grinder on your knees and hands. But
Yeah, you don't want to fall on that.
yeah,
But this
but
is
it's
interesting because if this is actually a complete section or just, I don't know if it's just an example, but for instance, those floats are separated with that big gap, right? Maybe you could pluck those out with a forklift.
yeah, you might be able to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Well, that would
But
be
anyway, this is just, this company, it's an interesting website.
very good. Yeah.
And I think we ought to list this on, put it on the resources page for people to look at. But I just think this is sort of I don't know, something like that is sort of what we're looking at.
Yeah, that looks very good to me, actually. Meets all the needs. All we just need, this has to have, rings welded on it or whatever to connect to the pilings and.
Yeah.
But I'm
And
sure.
that would be fabricated in somehow, and they would, you'd have to figure out if you're going to have a center connect.
Yeah,
So
A center connect.
would mean that a piling would come out the center,
Oh.
kind of, can you see my cursor moving?
Yeah.
So it would come out here, or the other place, if it were, it would have like a big ring
Yes, yeah.
bolted or welded to the end here.
Mhm.
Yeah, it seems to me
So-
that's what we need, right? Because we want to be able to remove these things.
Preferable, yeah. Though, yeah, if it's in the center, how do you?
I think that's like the pictures I showed, Lane. I think that's more,
Yes, the yours was in the center, but that we're thinking that's year round. I mean,
yeah,
that's protected in the port. I can see why.
yeah,
Yeah,
But and it's the rings and collars that slide up and down the.
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, this looks like a great, great company.
yeah. And so I think this is a good resource for looking at stuff as we're thinking about what we want.
Right, yeah,
So anyway, I thought their website was really good, and it can help us kind of envision what we're looking at, and also kind of just start thinking about costs.
hmm,
Yeah, but I think for a lot of people, it's also, you want to find sort of the shared terminology. So that if we're
Right.
talking about a thing, we just all agree we're going to call it X. And a
Mhm.
standard like this is say, let's use the same terms that they use. I'll look around for a couple of other sites and see, but I think that's one, it helps us to communicate clearly, but two, credibility for giving a public presentation. You want to make sure
Mhm.
you're calling it something instead of like Lane. You know that pointy thing that has that one and it goes around and it's like sort of like this? Yeah, not so much.
right,
So when I say bullnose cleat, and they'll think, "Oh, Lane, you've probably been
There you
sailing
go.
all your life." So, and what it'll be interesting question to find out is what Alan thinks about. We want to contact these folks and say, "You've got some great diagrams. Could we use them in our presentation?" I'm
Okay.
thinking if it sounds like we're going to buy something, they probably would say, "Well, yes, yes, you can."
Exactly, yeah,
But it'd be good to maybe just say, we need to have something to show the public.
right,
And the other question is for references, in essence, is what other, have they built county docks at county parks that we can use? Because part of what I don't fully understand yet is how do we find the design documents for all these places? Because you can't tell me they're not public information.
hmm, yeah,
Right? So this company had to give a proposal and say, okay, it's 14 of these and 16 of these, and here's a diagram of how they fit together. I mean, I don't know. I think we're getting close enough now before we go to the public to be able to ask Terry, where would we get some examples?
mhm,
Yeah, and there also is a company here in Bellingham that designs and builds the floats, the concrete floats that are used at both all of the Port of Bellingham marinas. And they're also, they go all over the country, but they're the concrete floats. And I can't remember what its name, but they're up on Hannigan in Bellingham. But they're the ones that have built, they built all the floats for Port of Everett.
okay.
So,
Well, it strikes me that, I mean, we need to know a little bit more about, you know,
I'm going to stop my screen share.
okay. I was going to say, we need to know a bit more about the site location. How long does this gangway need to be to get out into deep water? How long does the dock want to be? But on that website, I mean, we could easily put together a bill of materials for the decking, the dock, the floats. And all we need from the construction, the engineering company is how many pilings and where are they, right?
Yeah,
Just to get a first pass at an overall scope of cost, maybe.
yeah. No, and that's kind of what I was thinking we could do is like, once we decide like, what we need. And if you look at Mantle's website as well, they have pictures of docks that they've built out. And I think that also was pretty good. They had some good pictures on their website.
Okay, yeah. You know, I'm not saying this is the approach we take, but if we wanted to keep the cost down on this, I mean, let's say that we come up with a scheme, a plan that we do the maintenance and we pull these sections out and store them away. Well, then literally that is all we need from an engineering firm is to put the pilings in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually build this dock, you get all those components, put it together, and when we're ready to install it, we haul it over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just put a team together. I'd be happy to build it. It's an erector set. It's a grown-ups erector set.
Yeah, yeah.
So this would be an interesting discussion maybe with Chris. It's I'm not saying we propose that, but if we propose something and there are cost constraints and we need to somehow get the cost down, that might not be a crazy thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to go through a design and make sure that it's, it'd have to be reviewed with the engineering firm to make sure it's all correct and it all fits. But yeah, there it is.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, and those things might be doable or they might not be doable, because if we're looking for funding from the county parks department, sometimes public organizations like that, it's hard to
Mhm.
negotiate volunteer labor
Right.
Union.
because there are union contracts and stuff like that that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
So just I totally appreciate that, but I also kind of know that that can be a reality.
Yeah, I'm thinking too far out the box, I think. If I lived on Lake Washington, I would have ordered those parts already.
Yeah.
That's the other question. Are they sufficiently robust for the marine environment? It looks like they are, but
Oh, yeah. No, I think these guys are really, especially the aluminum frames.
yeah.
I would not go with a galvanized steel myself. I would try for the aluminum, and they offer the aluminum option. It's much more expensive, but it would be, I think in the long run would be better.
Is that partly because of the weight and managing the taking them out, putting them back in? Or what else are some of the disadvantages?
Corrosion resistance.
Yeah, that.
Aluminum, galvanized steel will rust. Aluminum, it will corrode and pit, but it's a much longer process.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, that all looks good, actually. I'll peruse that website some more.
Yeah, I think that's super helpful, because like I say, this notion of you can get pictures, but at some point you need to say, now what's underneath here?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the cut away
So,
like that.
Yeah, and I can assemble, well, we can let Alan look at the pictures on their website, and I have the pictures that I took of the docks that, I've sent a couple of those to Alan. But I can post those for Alan to post on our website too.
Yeah.
Because I took those, and so it's fine.
Exactly.
At least, showing the docks on the trailer.
Yeah.
Because I think that it is helpful to see that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To just kind of see like what the construction is. That's kind of why I was showing that link.
Exactly. And I think, again, the realities of living on the island, it's good for people to know this is what has to happen at the beginning and ending of the season, and then dates. What is the season? When do you think people pull the dock out?
It's
I tend to leave my boat in a little late lane.
Yeah.
I would say by I don't know what you'd say, Mary, but
End of October.
end, yeah,
Yeah,
even early October, depending, but
yeah. So I'd say sometime in October would be the end, and beginning would probably be maybe May 1st. The traditional season here is Memorial Day through Labor Day.
Right.
But you can extend it possibly. The other thing is if it was an aluminum structure with the aluminum grating, we had talked about if you had the metal pilings, you might be able to lift it up
we'll just raise it, yeah.
and raise it out of the water and then be able to be lowered down mechanically.
Yeah,
Yeah, which would obviously be, I mean, I hate to say, while that might seem like an expensive proposition, the
But for functionality, it
long
makes,
term,
makes way more sense.
because I hate to say, but when you say we're going to do this maintenance, that's going to be maybe 2-ish years, 3-ish years, you could actually commit somebody. And then what happens?
right, exactly.
Yeah,
So the idea of actually keeping it in place in part because then obviously you could. Now, when you, after you pulled them out of the water, is there like a big production to get them back in? Is there like a
That would
something,
be-
or do you just say, oh, something has happened, we have a fire or something, and we could lower?
it is a big production to, if we have to pull them out completely, but if we could raise them up, you know, like you have, here's your pilings, here's the dock.
Yeah,
And so you're able to pull it up to the top of the piling, water under here.
yeah,
You know, that's where it can store. And then you need to put the dock down,
Yeah.
float, and there it's there.
yeah. I mean, it's like a drawbridge. You know,
Yeah,
I forget which one that deck raises and lowers, but there shouldn't be a big, that shouldn't be so hard to do during the season to put it off season, to put it back down if there was.
right. And what you might have would be like only one section of dock in the off season. So you might have like a 10-foot section
Okay,
or a, you know, so it would be a smaller section that's on the raise and lower. And then during the season, you could have like another section that came out and extended
oh, I see.
and left in the water all summer. But then you undo that section, store it on land, but then you could still drop down
Right, so you get,
one section of dock so that you could get a boat in there next to it.
yeah,
I like that idea, Mary.
Yeah. yeah,
Is
because
that
that gives a true, in a true emergency. You're not trying to
Yeah.
dock all year, you're trying to get one point of access.
The one advantage of having like the entire thing being able to be lifted is in the event of a big storm that kicks up, even in the season, you could pull it up and protect it.
Mhm.
But-
And the other thing could be that you could just, I know that at our dock on Catalina, what we would do if there was a big storm with big waves that came in, what we would do is we would lift our ramp with an A-frame, and then we would detach the pier end of the dock so that the dock could float out to be, you know, going into the waves instead of being hit broadside.
Oh, interesting. So
Interesting.
it'd be kind of like it's at anchor?
Yes,
Out there freezing.
yes.
Kind of free.
Instead of being rigidly fixed in place, because that's where you have a lot of,
Sure.
a lot of like I don't know, the big bad stresses are the fixed
Forces.
things when you have surfy waves.
Yeah.
And so that's what we would do if they were expecting surge and they could tell that was happening, you know, late season over at where I worked, you get like hurricane warnings when there's hurricanes off of the west coast of Mexico. And, then it's pretty easy down there to predict when the storm surge is going to reach. And so we were able to just, cut the dock free. And then when the surge was over, just push it back into place and reattach it, recouple it to the pier.
That's pretty cool. I had no idea.
Hmm.
That's why this committee is great, because it brings in people
Figure
with
out, yeah.
different backgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I mean, that's a relatively easy thing to do as well, right?
hmm.
So,
Yeah, that's a design, once it's designed that way, it's
Yeah.
not horribly expensive, it's you have to think it through.
You have to think it through and design it that way so that, but that way it could survive. It would make it more survivable.
Uh-huh. Well, I would have
Yeah.
certainly thought that, especially with what's happened just at Sinclair Island recently, they would be thinking harder about, let's not try to skimp on cost in
Hmm.
design when in fact you've built one that doesn't stand up to the first storm, right? I mean, it wasn't actually finished yet, was it? Or it just been put in
Oh,
place?
no, that dock had been in place for a long time. Their old dock had been.
But they had damage to maybe it wasn't Sinclair, one of those other docks had damage, was it maybe Point Roberts, had damage before, I mean, while they were just.
Oh, yeah, I think that was Point Roberts.
Yeah,
Someone
So-
mentioned that. I wasn't here then.
yes.
I don't think I was in the Northwest when they constructed that marina. But yeah, you're right.
So obviously the county has to have some kind of, like, with the, excuse me, the Sinclair presentation, they had someone, marine engineers who came out and did all the analysis of if a storm comes from here, what is the impact? And what do you
Hmm.
moderate it and such. So I presume that's part of the whole design expense is making sure. And we at this point obviously don't have that expertise, except to say that original dock was all wood, that one we have pictures of.
Yeah, Sinclair's dock was a wood dock. It had been there for a long time.
Oh, actually, I meant Lummi Island. You know how we used to have a dock?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that dock was all wood. And that had been there for a long time too.
But we think, I was still trying to find out who knows the story of it was disassembled on purpose. It didn't break up.
No, it burned down.
Burned. Okay, I didn't
It
see
burned, yeah. It
Burned.
burned, I think, in the early 70s.
Hmm.
So the dock was still there. Now you could talk, I could, Buffy Lapoff talked to me about it, and she was here when it burned.
Which dock is this? You're not talking of early.
The original Lummi Island dock. The
The original Lummi Island ferry dock burned.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, Paul could probably give us some.
I would have guessed, but somehow I thought he was, because he didn't have a year on it. I think we were just guessing from what year.
Oh, Paul would know what year. Paul Davis.
Yeah.
The guy who writes the tome.
Yes, yeah. So
He would know when it burnt, and he could probably refer to some articles of when it burnt.
Hey, Mary, getting back to this floating dock section that you anchor out,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's worth good consideration, because getting back to my thought about could we put in a couple of mooring buoys out there for recreational use? Why not take this section out, you tie it off to one of the mooring buoys, and I mean, that's further justification of that want or need, right? Just a thought.
Yeah, you could do that temporarily. I think that would be kind of hard on the mooring.
Well, I don't know. If it's a slotted decking section, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously this stuff has to be reviewed and engineered, but I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about options.
Yeah. No, because most floats are anchored, or you know, they have to be anchored out on the seaward end, unless they have the collars.
Mhm.
And up here, they do most of the stuff with collars. And I don't know, in Southern California, Catalina, we didn't have extreme tides like we do up here. So you might not be able to do the anchor kind of a gig up here. Just thinking about that.
You're saying that section was anchored out at the end and you would just disconnect it and it would stay
From
on
the
those anchors?
shore side.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes, I thought you towed it out and, anchored it.
no. We
I mean-
did have mooring buoys out, but they were in close enough to shore that in big surge, they could drag
Yeah,
if it had a heavy load on them.
but I mean, if you think about it, I don't know what one of these aluminum sections with the frame and the floats weighs, but my sailboat's 14,000 pounds.
Mhm.
Yours is probably 20,000 pounds, right? So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
an aerodynamic, or not fluid dynamic shape, but still.
Right.
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Yeah. No. So anyway, those things are okay. So do we want to like look at pictures, like go on like to the public docs website and
Yeah, let's
look
grab a
at
couple
any of those?
examples.
Okay.
I'm just gonna just shout down to my husband, see if he can make me a sandwich before we get rolling here.
Yeah. I'm trying to watch the time, Lane. So it's
Thank you.
12:10 right now.
Okay, I'll if you bring up some pictures, I'll run ask about that.
Okay. All right. Let me.
And is the thought here that we look at these pictures and then we have to go take our own?
We probably will have to take our own.
Yeah.
But we can just like at least look to,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna call up that document
Oh, right. Okay.
from our website, the one that I loaded on. Okay, just a second. Oh, crumb. I'm slow at this login stuff, sorry.
There were some interesting spots on there that I wasn't aware of, like this Obstruction Pass, County Dock, or what have you.
Yeah, that's just right, as you come out of, it's on Obstruction Island over across from Blakely.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I just never noticed it.
Yeah, there's a little county park there and there's 2 mooring buoys.
Oh, all right. Boy, I wish my boat was working.
Yeah, your boat would be much better for making a tour than mine would,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Chris's.
Yeah. This time,
Yeah, I wish it were too.
maybe we can take up a collection.
Okay, so where did this go? I went home. No.
Hey, you're running into town, huh?
What? Lane's headed into town,
Lane.
yeah.
You're muted again, Lane.
I'm chewing, but I was able to get my a hair appointment because I missed it because of floods.
Okay. I was gonna say,
All
it
right.
to me like Slater's open again. Is that
Yes, it opened this morning.
excellent? Yeah. Maybe that-
Slater is open. You can go that way. Marine View is still closed, I believe.
That's what I saw too. But it's good to know from others. Does anybody know about FedEx? Are they waiting for Slater? I was reading some of that on Nextdoor. My dog is running out of food.
Oh,
My chewing order is lingering in Burlington for days. So, may have to take drastic action here.
Okay. Now I can get my stuff here. Okay, I've got the document called up.
Okay.
Now I open my view, full screen, share screen. I'm so slow at this. I'm so sorry for you guys, but I'm doing my best.
Here it comes.
Okay, so oh, the dock I'm thinking of is over here on Obstruction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's over in this area. It's across from Blakely, I think.
So that's another one that's not mentioned.
Yeah, this is there's actually a little community in here on a,
Right. Yeah, I know that spot.
yeah. So let's see.
And you mentioned Orcas. Which dock were you talking about for Orcas?
Oh, the Orcas Landing where the ferry goes in. There's,
Got it.
Yeah,
Yes,
just
I've been
to
there, but only to get on and off a ferry. I don't think I looked at it that hard. Okay.
yeah, just to the west side of the ferry terminal, there's a pretty sizable dock.
Uh,
And it's guest moorage.
I see.
And it
Yeah,
runs,
so this one is,
parallel to the shore, so you can tie off on the inside.
yeah, and so this is at Roach Harbor, and the county dock is right here. And this is like a load unload zone, and then they have their launch ramp over on the other side of it at Roach Harbor.
Okay.
But there's a whole marina at Roach Harbor here. Let's see. So yeah, this is like, these are all the slips here at Roach. And so this is like where the county dock is located, right here. And then this is the big marina. So, and most people actually will go in here because there's a dinghy dock in this area right here. If you're anchored out, that's where most people go in. But a lot of the county docks are in, oh crud. Now I lost my picture. Oh, Kreml, Mary. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so this is Friday Harbor. This is really humongo, but this is like a marina. Hunter Bay is right here. No, this is Prevost. Okay, so this here is the county dock at Prevost Harbor, which is on Stewart Island. And it's not, this is not like the state park ramp, but you can see how they've got this here. They've got a pier. And at the pier, they sometimes bring in big commercial boats to load stuff there. And then they have like the float
Mhm.
for the smaller boats to tie up to. And this is the county dock. So you can see that they've got like, it's a wooden dock. They've got the cleats, and they're spaced pretty close together because it's for small boats and bigger boats.
Right, yeah. And again, they talk about buoys off the dock, right? So you can
Mhm.
bow
Well,
off.
there's buoys, but at Prevost Harbor, it's mostly, it's just really, there's good anchorage out there.
Yeah,
And so a lot of people will go in there to hike out to the lighthouse.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So dinghy dock just means set down closer to the water level?
No, a dinghy dock is like, it's just a regular dock, but they'll usually have an area marked on a dock where you can only tie up dinghies, because with dinghies, you can really cram them into an area.
Okay.
And so places where there's lots of just boats that come in and out. I'm wondering if I can find the Hunter Bay dock. This is Washington Park. It's the Connor.
Oh, there's the county dock.
This is the county dock on East Sound.
And that's pretty small.
Yeah, it's very small.
But it looks like that's probably designated dinghies on the inside, right? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, I see.
you can see them all ganged around their lane.
I see what you mean, yeah.
And this place does get rough.
So we're
And
talking, I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, so when you say small, we're talking seriously 2 boats.
Yeah, that's really small. Ideally, we can do better than that.
Yes, that would seem, I mean, I didn't know if you guys had a guess as to what number you think you'd want to propose, but I would say 2, it's not enough.
Not enough, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, even the dinghies, I don't think you could have got more than 4 dinghies there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think this is Audlen. Yeah, that's,
It's odd, all right.
yeah, it's,
Why is that?
yeah, this is Audlen County Park. This is on Lopez Island. Yeah, I was just there this summer, and that's kind of, oh God, I don't know why that's so cuckoo in there. I don't know how, oh, here we go. There it is. I don't know how, but
Oh, there you
they
go.
just have a real short little pier that comes out along Gangway. And you've got space here, and that's pretty standard. And you can see the bull rail there
Yeah, the wooden
on
one.
it. Yeah, it's
Oh,
just
I
one of
know
those,
what
that's one of those wooden splintery ones.
I know what you mean. For some reason, when you were saying rail, I was envisioning higher up, and I was like,
Oh, I see, yeah.
how do you get off your boat if there's a railing there? I get it, of course. I know what that is. I just didn't know what it was called.
Yeah,
Okay.
Those things are horrible.
Yes, I've never tied up at one, but I can see. And with with a kayak, then what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Roll over it?
yeah, no, and well, the thing that's really bad is it's real splintery, and your lines, you pull your lines through, and then you get cedar splinters in your hands. Yeah, I've been there, done that one.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
the aluminum one. That's great.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And is that three-legged piling at the end? Does that float or is that
Yeah.
just right? It does float.
it
The whole-
protects it. I think around the end, you've got like a thing that's going around
Yeah, like a hoop.
around the piling.
Now,
You
okay.
can barely see the structure around there.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so the gangway itself then floats with. I guess I'm just used to more of a
The gangway will, as the tide goes in and out, the angle on the gangway will increase. So this just gets more steep. So this is at a probably pretty high tide.
yeah, and it's just on rollers.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
rollers at this end down here, and they'll usually have a skid plate of some sort
Okay,
that's on the dock. And so, and that's why you kind of need a little bit of extra space
behind.
of length to allow for that gangplank area where the gangway comes down.
Right.
You can tie a boat up there, but it's kind of something, you have to have enough width to get off your boat if you're tied up down at that end. And lots of docks will use this end down here for tying up dinghies.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's shallower and the access from a big boat.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's keep looking through. Oh, phooey, come on. I don't like that. I can't just go out of that. Sorry about this.
Rick, when you get around to it, you can save it on your desktop, and then when you're at home playing with it, you don't have to keep opening it on the
Yeah,
website.
there you go.
Probably
Okay, that's what I ought to do.
gets a little more control.
Yeah, this is English camp. So this has a little bit different in their construction on the
That one's
on
not-
the
yeah.
on the pilings. They're outside pilings, but they have double pilings.
I think
I-
that one's
yeah.
West Sound, isn't it, Mary? I think English.
No, English camp. This is Griffin Bay, I think.
I think you got to scroll down for English camp, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, is this West Sound? Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, there's English camp. Yeah.
There's English camp. Okay.
And there's a good picture of the hoop around the piling.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And you can see kind of right here, the skid plates too, and the wheels.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. And a chain so it doesn't just keep going. Next thing you know, you're flying off the end. I assume it get high enough. I should say steep enough. What happens? So can you say it's ADA rated if there's a point at which the tide is low enough that ramp is too steep? I don't know what too steep is.
That's an interesting question. Yeah.
It probably, I think it's wide enough and it's smooth enough, but it would be, you'd want to have brakes on your wheelchair
Mhm. Okay.
getting down some of these. So I don't know. I know that, yeah, with most ADA ratings for most things, there's a certain grade percentage that it is your maximum grade.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the dock at Olga that Dave was talking about, this is a really, really long dock. This is the one that's put in by the folks and maintained by these folks. And this is not a very good picture of it, but that's what it looks like. It's just a really long, long dock.
And then that float is removed in the winter, right? So
Yeah.
question is, do the locals do that?
I
Gotta
can
decide.
I can take it with me. What did you? Sorry.
Oh, it's time for you to go.
Gotta wrap up here. Awesome. Well, this gave me a million ideas anyway. So
Good discussion.
obviously, we'll have to
Yeah.
get together and see about, getting some pics, but at least now I can see if we want some just, I think, representations of existing pictures even.
Yeah.
These pictures, I think, this is the publication from San Juan Islands. Surely we can use their pictures. I would have thought.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, well, I guess we can talk about what we talked about today a little bit tomorrow.
Mhm.
Okay, Lane, you can go ahead and run if you want to. Dave, Jim wants to talk to you.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay.
Okay, see you later.
Okay, I'm going to stop my screen sharing here and then I can go back to my big screen and have control. I want to turn off the recording. Stop recording. Come on.